Hello, everybody. I'm Ramses.
And I'm the Vespor.
And we're here for another edition of Vespors Retro Reviews, our TV episode review series. And we're heading back to Knight Rider.
Before there was the A-Team, there was the Knight Rider. And thanks to Gary A. Larson, we have Kitt fused with the Cylon, and that gave him some personality.
You don't want to miss a moment of this. We know you love Knight Rider. We love Knight Rider. And we're going to bring you one of the most famous episodes now in this very episode here. Thank you for joining.
So if you want to see more, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that bell. Yes, join us here on Vespors Reviews. We're going to have a lot of reviews of all your favorites. Knight Rider, of course. So let's get right into it. What is the information of this episode? Well, it's called Trust Doesn't Rust. Season number 1. Originally aired on November 19th, 1982. Written by Stephen E. De Souza. Directed by Paul Stanley. As always, we're going to tell you who the guest stars of this episode. There's 3 important guest stars and 1 notable star who we're going to mention just because he has an important and memorable role in this episode. But it's really just 3 guest stars that you really need to know of who they are in this episode. The main guest star is, of course, a bad guy, and that's usually the case in these Knight Rider episodes. Tony is portrayed by Michael McRae. And Tony's character is a drunk who likes to do crime. So yeah, it's going to be a very weird portrayal. The guy is a little power hungry. He gets really into the situation. He really wants the money. He wants to rob the place. One, we'll tell you in a moment what that's all about. And going to have a best friend who we'll tell you about in a second. And that's the relationship that Tony's going to have. But Tony's going to have a real turning arc in this episode, and it's kind of sad how power corrupts absolutely, so always remember that. So that's Tony's character.
Next up, we have Rev, Tony's friend, and they immediately say him out criminal with a conscience. Now, he is played by William Sanderson, was in Newhart, Blade Runner, and quite a long list of shows that was in the 80s and early 90s. Brings all that together to make Rev this drunk who follows his friend Tony, who talks a lot about God, and will only do things up to a certain point. He doesn't want to hurt people. He just wants to get ahead in the world. Killing's not bad, but if you try to hurt anybody, that's not good, and he'll worry about your soul.
So now, as the voice of KARR, that's K-A.R.R, an acronym, we'll tell you what that means in a moment. We have the famous, iconic, one of the best voice actors ever, playing the vocals of KARR is the one and only Peter Cullen. And it's very, very, very recognizable that this is the voice of Optimus Prime himself.
That's right, KARR. As with everything else, it's an acronym for Knight Automated Roving Robot, which is now officially older brother of Kitt, which is Knight Industries 2000. So we have KARR, who has been programmed with survival, which makes you go, well, why is this guy a villain for? Well, he's a villain because he prioritizes that above all else, and is portrayed as sort of an innocent villain in the fact he has no idea what's going on because they shut him down shortly after they found out KARR can be very volatile.
And he doesn't care about humans, he doesn't understand civil concepts, he's very childlike, he's very immature, he has no development, and we're gonna break apart this story very deeply because a lot of things don't make sense with this all being the case, but Peter Cullen does a great job with the voice. It does sound like Optimus Prime without the modulation, so it's very recognizable.
And finally, we have the most definitely important person of this entire episode. It's the ringmaster, fast food kid at the drive-thru, played by none other than Ivan E. Roth.
So the ringmaster is known for being the most infamous, dangerous, evil guy you'll ever meet when you're going to order your food. You get 10 seconds to do your order or he reports you. He is not happy with you. He'll go through the whole spiel, but if you don't get to your order right away, disaster happens. And boys, disaster going to happen under his watch. So Ivan E. Roth, what an amazing job you did portraying the fast food kid, and I can't wait till we get to your scene. That really is the only people that are of note besides the main stars. And if you want to know who the main stars are, please watch our pilot episode. We go into full detail. Michael Knight, Bonnie Barstow, Devin Miles, and Kitt.
Alright, so now let's get on to the episode. Trust Doesn't Rust, and with this amazing showdown about to happen. So, how's this show start? Why, of course, with the teaser to get you to watch it.
Alright, so yes, it starts out with getting us excited. So we have no idea what is going on. We see 2 thugs talking to a similar something to Kitt. You see Michael Knight leaping onto what we think is Kitt. Bonnie driving with the aforementioned thugs. Kitt and something else is about to go against each other. So it's really setting up that there's two Kitts. We don't know about KARR yet. For us, it's two Kitts because there's no difference at all in the versions that they're showing us in the screen, except when they show the readout of the other Kitt looking a little different. But that's the only clue you have that it's something different than Kitt. But yeah, the teaser sets it up well. If I saw this teaser as a kid, and I did because I watched this back in 1982 live, I was like, oh my god, there's another Kitt that's going after Kitt. This is amazing. I gotta see this. I gotta know what's going on. So we're gonna get right into the episode now. The teaser is amazing. You definitely want to watch this. And now we're gonna watch it. Let's see how this show opens up.
Why, of course, it opens up in a sign that literally says, the future site of Knight Museum of Technology. You're going, how's this have to do with anything? And then that's where it hits you. Wait a second. Do they have like a prototype? You know, if you know anything about technology, they always do prototypes. So, all right, so we're going to find the other Kitt here. So it's going to be like a younger brother, maybe misguided or something like that. No, instead of going and showing this other Kitt, it shows two drunk bums who are Tony and Rev.
That's right. We meet our two before mentioned thugs, and they're going to be the main focal point of this episode because they're the catalyst to get everything going here. So Tony is the big thinker. He always wants the big prize, and he's like, Little Knight, he was a trillionaire. I'm sure he has all this great technology in there. I can't wait to break in. And it's like one guard just strolling by, and that's it. And like, oh, good, he's gone. We don't have to worry about it. So I don't even know what the plan really is, but they want to break in. So they move up to the door, and he takes out his handy-dandy crowbar.
A mini crowbar, folks, not a big one. And he literally just sticks it next to the lock, wiggles it, and it pops open, and you can actually see the lock is a deadbolt. This is not how this would have happened.
No. I mean, look at this lock, folks. I mean, there's no way you can jiggle a mini crowbar. Deadbolt is completely now fully inside of the chamber as if it wasn't even locked. There's no damage at all on the door frame, and it just slides right open. I'm like, wow, if it was that easy, then what do we even have locks on the doors for? What is the point if it's that easy to unlock a dead-bolted door? That's amazing.
And by the way, folks, for our younger kids, even in the 80s, they had electronic locks. So in a technological institute, you don't think that as soon as somebody opened that door, somebody somewhere wouldn't know immediately to come at that exact moment?
Do you think we're going to go in? No, because now we got to get to our establishing shot and show our hero. That's Michael Knight, and it's 2 in the morning, by the way. So Kitt's complaining, Michael, I'm getting tired. It's 2 in the morning. Even I need to rest.
And recharge my batteries, of course. Michael's like, well, we gotta go secure the warehouse. And then Kitt's like, well, why'd you do that earlier instead of going with this Rosie person? He's like, no, it's Rosalind.
You can tell this is season 1 because their banter's very weird. So Michael's being portrayed as a womanizer, which is fine, but he's not portrayed like that in later seasons. So they made him the hotshot who's dating around. But like I said, once you get to season 2, they remove that because he's only going to be interested in the girl the week after that. And then you have Kitt, who has the flattest, most unenjoyable personality ever, and that's why they changed it too. And see, it's just not working like it will later. So thank goodness they changed it, but sadly this is an early season episode, so we have portrayals that don't match. Michael is dating everybody, and Kitt has the personality of a wet toad. And Michael's just laughing at Kitt. Oh, Kitt, you don't understand anything. And then they head off to the warehouse full of all the Knight industry technology. Boy, what a coincidence. So it's being broken into the same time that they happen to be headed
at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow. What are the odds of this happening? You couldn't randomly have that happen any better than this. So now we're going to go back to these guys. And what are they doing? It is pitch black in this warehouse. And he's fumbling around. Oh, I can't see anything. He's flipping switches nonstop, and it's amazing to me. He has a crowbar, but he doesn't have a flashlight on. And he turns on every single switch there, and the lights finally come on, which again makes no sense. That's the master power switch. You know, like when your power goes out, that's the breaker switches. You would have a light switch in there. The place isn't closed down or anything. You wouldn't be using the breaker to turn the lights on and off, would you? So what happens is there's another box next to all the breaker switches. He activated another breaker switch that says Lab 3 on it.
And it says in bold letters, do not engage power. Now, here's a question I raise at this point. You don't want power going to the lab. Why would you have a switch providing power to the lab? That seems counterproductive. We don't want any power to it. And here's the thing. For this wonderful area that's supposed to have all this technology, few scenes that we've seen show next to nothing in here. And then we see this door that says Lab 3 with this obviously heavy-duty commercial lock designed to resist crowbars. And continuing on with the luck of the Irish tonight, that little crowbar opens it right up because obviously it was not locked.
Right, it's so ridiculous. Crowbar will get you into anything without damaging anything, by the way. All you do is wiggle this metal piece around. It unlocks doors, it unlocks locked locks. No damage to the frame. Everything's in perfect condition. I said, this is amazing. What crowbars are you using?
And I do want to point something out because it's a small thing, but when this pops off, it doesn't pop the latch off either because later on, when we see this door again, that latch is torn off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now they go in and now has our mysterious reveal. So this is the cool part of the episode because we're going to finally find out what was locked in lab number 3. They're both in a dark room and they're like, oh, and Rev is all nervous. Rev's like, let's get out of here. There's nothing's worth it. And Tony's like, no, come down. Let's see what it is.
Oh, and that's when, guess what? There's a power surge. And for the briefest of seconds, it's a completely empty room with Kitt, or you think is Kitt, at the back of it. They actually make a run for it, but suddenly, for no explanation, the doors shut on them.
Yeah, and then we're like, uh-oh, I guess they're dead. But yeah, they close and they're screaming. And then we get back to Michael Knight and Kitt, who arrive on the site. And they're like, there's been a break-in. There's supposed to be a guard here. What's going on?
The door's open.
And Michael is acting really stupid here. He's like, let's go, Kitt. He's outside of Kitt, and he's approaching the human-sized door, by the way. And he's saying, let's go, Kitt, come on. And Kitt's not moving. And he's like, what's wrong? You expect Kitt to say, well, I'm a car, I can't fit through the door, but that's not what he says.
He says, I'm detecting telemetry that's similar to mine inside of the actual warehouse. And I'm like, all right, so that's good, but why do you, as soon as you say that, start slowly inching up behind Michael, following him towards this door that you could not fit through even on your side? And Michael Knight's going, come on, Kitt, quick. Don't worry about it. We got this. Uh-oh, I better get my flashlight and get ready to go in. So back me up from out here. And I'm going, did you just realize that he couldn't fit through the door when you said that?
Yeah, I mean, what a silly situation. It really is. But at least Michael Knight remembered to bring the flashlight. The thugs didn't remember to bring the flashlight, but at least Michael Knight remembered to bring his flashlight.
And the beautiful part is, as soon as he walks in there, guess what? The lights aren't on. Furthermore, where'd all this junk come from? Because it was not here in the establishing shots with the criminals.
No, so now we see the technology that was here. And to tell you, the sign from before said, opening soon, Knight Industries Museum of Technology. And we're like, Technology Museum? Like, what exactly would you see at the Technology Museum? So we see at this warehouse that they're keeping stuff for this future Technology Museum. We saw a TV and we saw one of those old computer devices that use the tape reels to store everything. That's the Museum of Technology.
It's the same props they used from the first episode. Well, I mean, they put dust on it to make it look like it's old because, you know what? Technological devices from the 80s, and we're like, if this was in a warehouse for storage, they would have covered them up. And that leads us to another thought between me and Ramses. If this Kitt was stored in here and it's about ready to be revealed for future people to look at, why wasn't this new Kitt kind of, stored better? I don't know.
See here that a spark came from the Lab 3 switch that he turns on and flows into the room. So not only are we supposed to believe that it's plugged into something, a wire that was connected to this power box that activates him. Why? What is the purpose of this? So not only is that ridiculous that this switch turned him on, because why would you leave a car? Well, we can't give it away, but there's a reason why they deactivated this car, but why would you leave it activated if they deactivated it for important reasons? But you also left him fully equipped with everything. So his tires are perfectly conditioned. He has all his CPU components are in perfect condition. All it takes is a little jolt from a bolt to turn him on. It's like, why'd you leave him plugged in the first place? There was no reason, rhyme or reason to any of this. It makes no sense.
And the beautiful part about all this is as Michael comes close to the door, we see the security guard laying in front of this door. He's completely unconscious until Michael Knight picks him up. He looks at the guard, goes, what happened? And he goes,
Lab 3.
Suddenly the doors magically open themselves, and here comes this clone of Kitt out to try to run both of them over.
Now we're going to talk about the guard scene for a little bit because me and Vespor had a debate here. Alright, so what exactly happened here? Now, Knight Rider is notorious for cutting out scenes, and this is my theory. And again, that doesn't mean it has to be Vesper's theory. That's the great thing about this show, is we have different opinions. But what exactly happened? My theory is the guard went to approach them as they're breaking in, and it is shown later in the episode Tony has no reserves about hurting people. And I think he attacked the guard, knocked him out, and thought he killed him and didn't care. That's what I thought. Vespor has his own theory, but they don't explain it, so whatever theory you want could be the truth.
And mine is the truth because of Occam's razor. This is the 80s. This is the time of poorly written scripts with even poorer logic behind it. They needed to set up a scene so that they can have this car come out and try to run them both over to establish the fact that this is dangerous because, as Ramses mentioned later on, they also point out that Riv has a heart of gold and doesn't want to hurt people. Call it how you will, I'm firmly on the bandwagon. This is just typical lazy 80s writing.
But why was he knocked out? Why was he on the floor?
Because he needed to be on the floor and only unconscious until Michael Knight showed up to go Laboratory 3 so Michael could save him, proving that Michael is a good guy.
How did he get knocked out? Why was he on the ground? Why did he faint? I mean, you're not explaining it?
I don't have to because it's the 80s, Ramses. It's the 80s.
Alright, there you go. Guys, you give your own opinions of what you think happened to this guard. And then KARR comes flying out of the door. And Michael's like, oh my god. And he tosses the guard into the fake equipment there. The guard's still knocked out. And then we zoom to outside and like, oh, well, at least he'll have to smash through the door. No, the garage door opens up. The criminals and KARR drive away, waving, and that's it. But somehow KARR was able to magically open it. I guess it was a computer lock. I don't know. We'll whatever. And then Michael is like, what is going on here? And now we're going to head back to the Foundation for Law and Government as they speed up. So there you go. That's a pretty good opening so far, Vespor, I must say. It sets up the situation. It sets up the criminals. It sets up we're dealing with another kid.
You know the only problem with this, Ramses?
What's that?
This is 12 minutes into a 40-minute episode.
It's a lot of expedition and story setting up. That is the problem with this episode, and that's our long-about way of getting there. Yes, there's a problem with this episode. Everyone loves this episode, and we'll give our final review at the end, but it's a lot of establishing, and does it really matter? We still aren't anywhere near Kitt and this other Kitt confronting each other. But now we're going to learn more about what this other Kitt is, because when we get back from the commercial break, we're now back at the Foundation for Law and Government with Devin acting very weird in this whole situation.
And this is one of those another wonderfully well-written scenes where Michael's like,
why wasn't I told about the other car?
Oh, Michael, please.
No, Michael, please. I had a right to know.
Yes, indeed you did. Let me explain.
Such a weird transition from Michael being furious, and Edward Mulhare is playing the scene very weirdly. Smiling, he's grinning. You can tell this is a season 1 episode because the interactions are very weird. You have to remember in season 1, and we mentioned this in our pilot, Devin and Michael were not friends. They were adversaries. Michael was rough and tough. Devin was very by the books professional. The reason I like this is continuity. They really do connect everything very well to the pilot that we've already reviewed, and I like when they do that. These are the special episodes where it is connected. We have storyline, history, past, all connecting. So the short version is 6 months ago, right before Michael was rescued from his near death as Michael Long, they had another version of Kitt built, and it reveals it's called
KARR. K-A-R-R.
What's KARR?
The Night Automated Roving Robot.
And that was the original Kitt, but there was something wrong with it. It did not care about human life. It was only interested in self-preservation. Wilton Knight decided that it's going to be the prototype. He'll build Kitt, and he's going to deactivate it. This is why I think they put KARR in storage instead of disassembling. And remember we said it's very strange that KARR was perfectly intact. He was still with the power line. If you want to make the story work, you have to believe this. Wilton Knight saw KARR as a child. You know, that's how Wilton Knight was. You remember him in the first episode. Again, see our pilot. Wilton Knight was very optimistic. He saw good in people. He wanted to help people. He built Kitt, not KARR, but he built Kitt to preserve. But the idea of KARR was the same thing. So we're to believe that Wilton Knight saw it like a child. You don't take it apart. That's one of yours. So maybe the hope was that he would be able to fix him, to change him, to help him. So he left him fully intact. And then he died before he was able to do any of that stuff.
And the reason they couldn't program him is because they actually threw this in with Devin saying the same group of people that nearly bankrupted Knight Industries, which makes no sense because that was not a problem with Knight Industries. Because if you think about it too hard, you're going to go, wait a second, why couldn't they just reprogram it? It's a computer. They went out of their way to tell you it's a computer and it can be reprogrammed. If this car is supposed to help save mankind, why did you program as basically its first law of robotics, preserve yourself at all costs?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And I get it. You need a storyline for this, but this is writing 101. You don't need to make it so convoluted and ridiculous. You have all the pieces here. It could be something went wrong in the program. It could be Wilton Knight was about to do something before he died. It could be, I mean, you could throw in any line that would make this work, but we're left with Devin's like, oh, I thought he got rid of it. I didn't think we'd ever see it again. So Devin, his most trusted advisor and partner, didn't even know that Wilton Knight in his heart saved K.A.R.R for reasons.
And also put him in a building that's going to be turned into a museum, and Devin has quite literally described K.A.R.R as being as dangerous as a loaded gun, yet after everything is established, we come to find out that K.A.R.R doesn't actually seem like too bad of a fellow here at the beginning.
And also, I do want to throw in that Bonnie had no part in K.A.R.R, which I think is great that they preserve that history too.
Oh, don't look at me. That was before my time.
If you remember, Bonnie was not in the pilot episode, Vespor, so Bonnie didn't join the team until technically in canon in episode number 3. Now Michael has the storyline, and before we go further than that, now we're going to zoom back to K.A.R.R, because as Vespor said, K.A.R.R is now going to talk for the first time. He's going to really detail how things are, and you find out that K.A.R.R is not Kitt at all, and it's voiced by Peter Cullen, as you mentioned, and it's really cool because it really does sound like Optimus Prime. He's doing the Optimus Prime voice, but don't forget, this takes place 2 years before Transformers was recorded, so it's kind of cool he's using that voice, because Peter Cullen all the time says, oh, I came up with the Optimus Prime voice. No, he's just doing the voice he always does for all these type of characters, so it's not a new voice, and I hate to burst everyone's bubble. He didn't come up with his voice from his brother. He always had this voice, because if you listen to K.A.R.R, it's Optimus Prime's voice. There's nothing really different.
I am the Knight Automated Roving Robot. K.A.R.R, if you prefer.
And this is where we learn about our two guest stars here of Rev and Tony, in the fact that they literally thought everything that happened the previous night was a dream, because they were so blitzed that they just got in a car, drove away, they had no idea what was going on, and the reason they're stopped here in this back alleyway is because the Rev told him to stop, so K.A.R.R did. These guys don't know what's going on until K.A.R.R actually says, hey guys, you saved me from being deactivated, I want to help you all. I know about humans, you like to eat, you like to drink, and you like to reproduce. And these guys are like, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So what would you like to do first? After all this is asked, they go, wait a second, didn't we see like another car like you? And this absolutely makes K.A.R.R furious. He's a line production model. He's not as good as the prototype, which is me. And this is where you start to see that, oh, there is something wrong with K.A.R.R, because everything up to this point, he has been reasonable.
Yeah, it shows that he has a jealousy streak, he's very self-important, he has an ego even, but he has a childlike mind. It's like it's undeveloped. I mean, you learn all this stuff in like this 2 or 3 minute conversation that he's having with Rev and Tony. And it's kind of interesting, because I like that it gave personality to K.A.R.R. It's not just another kid, it's actually a very different personality to this car, and it's evil only in that it doesn't know better. It doesn't care. It's not programmed to care or know better, because the program is flawed, and that's the whole problem with K.A.R.R.
And the thing is, if they had more money, you could actually see K.A.R.R being a fun addition, because what was the biggest trope of the 80s? You have your loose cannon and your straight and narrow guy.
It's very sad that it's sort of a missed opportunity, because I think Vesper's right. I think having 2 versions of this, one that's very different but in the same universe, could have really been utilized properly. But that's not where the episode goes, and that's really, as Vespor said, due to budget. They did not have the budget to have 2 different versions running around, but I think if they did, they would have done something like that.
Now that we've established that K.A.R.R is like a petulant little child, Tony and the Rev have decided upon food and decide to go to 3 Rings.
This is a pivotal point of the story. Why are we mentioning fast food guy? Like, why are we mentioning this guy, the ringmaster? Because this is where things start to happen now. And we head to the 3 Rings, and it's 3 Rings fast food. Kid does a whole opening speech, and it's supposed to be the theme of a circus. So they both drive up there, and Rev and Tony are talking about what to get, and K.A.R.R's all confused. After Ringmaster gives his whole opening speech.
What is that voice?
Oh, that's just the ringmaster, K.A.R.R.
Ringmaster? I scan no such person.
And now we have the twist where Fast Food Kid, the Ringmaster, changes his personality. So you can't really hear what K.A.R.R's saying, you can't really hear what the guys are saying, but he's getting annoyed at the 2 customers. And it's a very weird reaction, it's very rushed.
Literally just goes from, hey, can I take your order? And then you quite literally hear all 3 of them talking quite loudly. Guys, what would you like to eat? And then in less than 15 seconds, you can hear them going, what's the breakfast? What's that thing? And he's like, guys, get out of there. Don't make me come out there and kick you out. And you're like, Wow, this escalated quickly.
And now the interesting thing about this is where they filmed this. Me and Vespor actually were able to find that this place still exists to this day. El Taco. This is the location of where this entire scene took place, and you can even see the same background, the same building facade, the parking lot where they had this whole thing set up. And the best part is Firestone that was across the street still exists, but it's now an American Tire Depot, but it's still in the same exact colors that the Firestone was in. So what do you think of all that?
I think that's actually very cool. After the threat happens, this is where we show KARR really doesn't understand what's going on, and we also get to see that for the plot to continue, neither the Rev or Tony are going to acknowledge any question that KARR has been screaming for like the whole scene. And so he takes it upon himself to defend the two by running over the speaker.
It's very clearly a prop device, an empty box. KARR goes right through it, the whole thing's destroyed, and they're all like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? KARR's like, see, I told you there was nothing in there. I knew it was just a facsimile. He's all satisfied.
But we do see something here, and that is the actual special effects guy.
Yes, you can very clearly see he's ducking behind the window. We have the catch right here. Look at this. He's putting the smoke and firework prop down while the two are arguing. He got caught in the frame. Very bad work. I mean, how can you miss that the guy was clearly caught?
And after this happens, that's when the burglar alarm goes off, and find out that KARR has no idea about the police because KARR was made to be working for Knight Industries, which is a part of Flag. So the fact he doesn't even know about police is a total mystery to me. They explain to him that if they don't leave here, they're going to be captured and thrown into the slammer. They're like, I don't want that, and then takes off like a bat out of hell.
And now a police chase starts. So like I said, this is the catalyst to start everything, where we're finally seeing why is KARR so dangerous. Now comes another stupid scene, because now we're going to go back to Michael Knight and Kitt, and they're on the way to the hospital to check on the injured security guard. They were hoping to get more information about who stole KARR, and then they say, Kitt, why don't you tap into the local police frequencies? And right away, Michael, and all you hear is...
Last seen at 3 Ring Drive-In Restaurant, 9211 Vincenti Street.
And that's all we hear, by the way. And they say, forget the visit to the hospital, let's go get him. I'm like, go get him. All they said was 3 rings and the address. They didn't say description of the car. They didn't say what happened. They just said 3 rings, address, and that was enough information for Michael and Kitt to say that must be them.
And they quickly speed over there. Rev and Tony got into safety in a back alley, and they're worried about getting caught and thrown in jail. And then Tony's like, you know what? Let's work with KARR. If we're going to go to jail, let's go to jail for something big.
And that's the plan now. And the two criminals realize, wow, this KARR can escape anything and go through anything. Hey, we got the winning ticket here. We get back to Michael and Kitt now, and they're showing up at 3 rings. And there's a whole group of people standing around in a little circle in the parking lot where the speaker box used to be. It's so unrealistic and ridiculous. So Michael gets out, and the ringmaster's like, hey, is that your car? And Michael's like, yeah. And he's like, there he is. And then he gets pushed to the ground in the wreckage of the speaker. I'm not kidding you. 7 police officers all point their gun at him as he holds his hands up.
I do want to point something out. Nobody really knows that Kitt is an indestructible tank. So if you drove through something like that, the front of your car is going to have some damage in it. At the very least, it should have some pieces of that speaker box embedded in it. But thank God, after a quick commercial break, we see a picture of them being at the Flag base. And for some reason, they're not outside in the bays there. They're in the truck in the actual base.
So the next scene we have here, where we're coming back, you're like, oh, well, what happened to Michael? Michael's just leaning back, relaxed in the semi there. Bonnie's working on Kitt. And we have an officer finishing a statement. Well, in the meantime, you may want to paint Kitt a different color. I'll see you guys later. Devin off-screen said it's a good thing the authorities were able to get you out, Michael. We're supposed to believe that while this little commercial break happened, the authorities got him out. It was cleared up. They all took him home from jail, including Kitt too. We have a police officer who went with them to explain the outcome of all this at the semi. No time has passed at all, by the way. The cop made the special trip to the semi to deliver the news of the outcome that he's freed. That's what we were supposed to believe happened in that commercial break, Liz.
Absolutely. And the best part about all this is this leads into another scene where they're working on Kitt for some strange reason. Then we get some foreshadowing as Kitt goes, Bonnie, why are you moving my main power source around? Oh, for a possible upgrade. I'm going, what in the heck? Are they going to like put like a limiter on Kitt? Are they afraid he's going to turn like KARR or something? It's actually much, much cooler.
We're not going to give away yet because we are going to get to that scene, but it is actually cool what they're going to do here. I like when they remember that he's a supercar. You can put things into him. But this leads into another conversation about Zeno's paradox.
This is the more you know moment.
Michael, Zeno first postulated a question which my twin would certainly be aware of. What would happen if an irresistible force met an immovable object?
You know that that's not actually Zeno's paradox. It's actually known as the irresistible force paradox.
Yes, and we probably all heard this because in wrestling, even the wrestling reviews we've done, we had an exact reference to this. Irresistible force meeting the immovable object. It's like a very powerful guy versus like a brick wall that can't punish. So what happens when something very powerful hits something that's so defensive that you can't break it? That's what the Zeno's paradox is supposed to be, but it's really the irresistible force.
So guess what? This is the 80s, folks. It's time for a montage, and that montage is literally showing a model car driving through a black window for a bank.
We don't know how they get it. We don't know how this all unfolds because they don't really show it. It's a weird montage of car crashing through two walls, and then we see both of our would-be thugs here celebrating as money's flying around. They're emptying out money bags and they're flipping through very fake looking money, by the way. You go to the coin place and the same thing happens. They're throwing coins everywhere, but we don't know how they're doing this. What exactly is the next play after you break through the wall there and they shoot at you? It's left very ambiguous, and you know, I don't like it left so ambiguous. Yes, we realize obviously they were able to do it. I do need to fill in those little holes, like how exactly did this work?
Exactly. But they figure out how to do this later on, and I guess this is exactly what happened in every single instance. So now after all that, we explain why Bonnie was making all those adjustments to Kitt. She's going to put this giant freaking laser somewhere in him.
Where is that fitting? This thing is as big as the table.
You know what? They do some cool effects here, and the best part about it is they didn't line it up correctly with David Hasselhoff jumping back as soon as it shoots. He shoots it, there's an explosion, he stares, and then suddenly, oh my god!
The editing was very bad in this episode, I have to be honest. They caught someone through the special effect. The actions were totally wrong, so I have to blame the director a lot. Paul Stanley, I'm afraid you did not do a very good job on the direction of this episode.
But the nice part is, they explained that the laser has to be lined up with KARR sensor, and the cool thing is, this will actually be referenced later on. They'll use this as like the only weakness in Kitt, the Cylon little red wavy light. And I love the fact that for blueprints, it looks like they literally found an artist off the street and said, just draw this car right here. You need to shoot here. And the downside is that they only have 2 seconds to hit it, and it has to be calibrated, and it makes it sound like it's actually impossible.
So now they're at their home base, they're talking, and Rev is sort of getting a little bit of a conscience, right? So Rev's like, you know, the stealing's fine and all, but I don't want to hurt anybody. And KARR's like, there's a problem, gentlemen. I need maintenance. I need cybernician, which is a cybernetic technician. Like, well, yeah, hold that thought. And this is now where Tony and Rev have this long conversation together about this.
Remember how we had that foreshadowing? Rev is a very spiritual man. Well, he's like, I have no trouble stealing because nobody's getting hurt. After seeing what KARR, I highly doubt that, considering driving in the middle of a public bank would probably hurt somebody.
Someone probably got hurt and all that, yeah.
Thank God they didn't, because he even says so in there. Thank goodness that nobody got hurt. But kidnapping was just crossing the line, and he was worried about his immortal soul for Tony, and that KARR was corrupting Tony. And that was not farther from the truth. Tony was corrupting KARR.
And this is a case of KARR is very susceptible. He doesn't know better.
You can trust me in the Rev. Yes. That information is in my data banks. I can trust you.
Weird part of this is I thought KARR was going to turn on them right then and there. KARR is zoomed in on his video monitor, lip reading. And I know it sounds weird, but he can't hear what they're saying, but he can very clearly see them talking to each other. Supposed to believe that Tony's going to be like, you're right, Rev. Believe that Tony now is going to go to KARR and deceive him and say, yeah, we're not going to do that. Give him some spark plugs and he'll be fine. But the twist happens where Tony is fully on board with what KARR wants to do. We're going to go back to Flag. Devin's on the phone. Oh, see. Oh, right. And then we have another delayed reaction by Michael, by the way. So there's another time where it happens. The alarm starts to go off, and Michael makes another very weird reaction to it.
Stupid enough to do it. That's a security system.
Was the director asleep in this episode? I don't know. I hope he didn't direct too many episodes. This guy did a terrible job. The alarm goes off and they throw the phone all over the place. And then we zoom to Bonnie. Keystone Cops. Everyone's going crazy here. Bonnie's on the phone. This is Dr. Barstow. And from behind her, Tony comes with the arm around her and carries her.
By the way, folks, this is another bad editing thing because you can see his shadow, so there's no suspense
at all. And Tony kidnaps Bonnie and drives off in KARR. Billionaire organization here, and all we have is Michael and Devin huffing and puffing down a hill, chasing after. Oh, there's Kitt. No, that's
Wait a second,
KARR.
Ramses. it was done perfectly because KARR was able to detect when everybody simultaneously took their smoke break because this is the 80s.
So Devin's like, go get it, Michael. And Michael now has to run towards KARR. He calls Kitt over though. Kitt, where are you? In my parking space. Well, hurry up. They got Bonnie. And Michael does his leap of faith and just jumps right on top of KARR. And you can very clearly see this is not David Hasselhoff.
Are you certain that's not because of the wind? His hair turned a different color.
Yes,
It's strange how he always looked away and never forward.
Yes.
And by the way, what good is him clinging to the roof of a impenetrable car anyway?
I don't know. I don't know what he was hoping to accomplish here. But then the scene gets even crazier. So KARR's like, get off of me. So he's like swerving, but Michael Knight, his stunt double is hanging on for dear life. And then Kitt drives up, and they must be going 50 miles an hour.
Or that's what it's supposed to look like. They're obviously going like 15, maybe 20.
Kitt's like, I got you, Michael. Jump to me. And if they were going the actual speed that they're showing these two, Michael never have been able to do this. Now, remember, we had this happen in the Transformers episode. Remember the episode Transport to Oblivion, where Spike has to jump onto Bumblebee's roof.
Well, don't forget, though, those humans in Transformers are from the Golden Age. This is the precursor to the Golden Age, because the Golden Age didn't happen until 1984, when we made Infinite Energy. So this was obviously a savage world, and these were the prototypes to the Transformers.
Yes, because Michael does exactly what Spike did in that episode, and leaps onto a speeding by Kitt, latches onto the hood, is able to climb in through the roof, slam down, and say, thanks, buddy. Imagine actually doing that in real time. That would be almost impossible. Finally, we're gonna have Kitt versus KARR. And it's kind of anticlimactic because KARR is throwing out zingers and insults. Like, that's why the personality had to change. I mean, Kitt was not insulting him at all. He was trying to be nicey nice. Please drive better, KARR. You're gonna hit people.
This is where they try to play up. Kitt is programmed to protect people, and KARR is designed for self-preservation, which led to the end of this scene where they go through a crowded little town.
Oh, I know what town this is, Vespor. That is Hill Valley. I know why that is.
That's because it's on a Universal lot.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right, Vespor. It's the same lot they use for every town square, and Back to the Future wasn't the first to use it. That was 1985, so this is long before that, but it's definitely the town square set.
Yeah, and due to the fact that Kitt has to protect everybody, he's like, Michael, we can't pursue them. He'll hurt somebody because they almost ran over somebody. Actually, it looked like Kitt was almost ready to hit somebody.
The one that was almost hitting. Now, again, we have more funny reactions from David Hasselhoff because he's going,
Ah!
So what happens is we get back to the hideout again, and now Rev is sleeping. So all this went on while Rev was taking a cat nap. That's great. So he had no idea that Tony went to Flag headquarters to kidnap Bonnie.
And we see that Bonnie is trying to sabotage KARR, who apparently has a self-defense mechanism by electrocuting the crap out of her. But this also doesn't raise the question of, Kitt always says, I need to recharge my batteries. This has been going on for what I assume is days on end, and he hasn't recharged his batteries once.
He should be on very, very low energy, not being used for 6 months prior to that, right?
That's correct.
So what exactly is Bonnie doing in her maintenance? Not much. She's like just sort of moving her hand around inside, which makes no sense because usually when she's doing maintenance, the hood is open, charging everything. I don't know what Bonnie with a screwdriver exactly is doing to rejuvenate and fix his stuff.
And the best part about all this is that this shows how innocent KARR was, because Bonnie's like, I need to tune your video sensors. Can I use them for a moment? KARR's like, sure. And then she zooms in and sees where Rev is talking to Tony in the background about, don't get angry about us kidnapping her. And this is where Rev flies off the handle and Tony tries to persuade him. He's like, look, this heist. And this is where Bonnie hears this, zooms in and sees that they're going after diamonds. But Rev will have none of this because he's worried about Tony's immortal soul. And I'll be honest, Rev is actually being a true friend. And this is how you make kind of a redeemable villain. Yes, he's bad. He knows he's bad. He's going to go to jail, but you don't hate his guts, and it makes you empathize a little bit with him. It makes you feel sorry for what's about to happen, because shortly after this, Tony knocks the crap out of him with a bottle.
Oh yeah, he could have killed him here. I mean, we don't even know what happens. They mention that it'll be all right. They're going to call an ambulance and get him help, but we never see the character again, and we have no idea. It's interesting because I see where the script is going. Tony has gotten so corrupted by the power of KARR now that nothing will stand in his way, not even someone who he trusted and he considered a friend. I felt bad because Rev was trying to do the right thing, and this is his fate. Bonnie is freaked out, escaped, and Tony's like, you dumb KARR, why are you letting her go? And KARR's like, I was watching you deactivate the Rev. Tony's like, oh, whatever. And then he corners in on Bonnie. He's about to get her, and then boom, right through the wall comes Kitt and Michael just in time to save her. And it's so funny because what happens now is Tony runs into KARR's like, I'm out of here. And Michael's still more concerned for Bonnie. He's like, Bonnie, no, look out, as KARR speeds by. And then Bonnie jumps into Kitt. And finally, we have our chase. So here we go.
By the way, folks, this is like at the 30-minute mark. We're almost done with this episode.
And it's going to be broken up a little bit. So Michael and Bonnie, while they're chasing KARR and Tony, Michael then calls Devin. And now another funny scene happens. David Hasselhoff's reactions in this episode are very bizarre.
Well, that's because he read the script, Ramses, because I'm going like, what in the heck is going on? He calls Devin. They're going to rob the diamonds from the warehouse. And Devin's like,
I'll meet you there with reinforcements.
okay, that was kind of anticlimactic.
That reaction made no sense at all to what he was just told. No, it should have been like, good, thank you, Devin, we'll meet you there. That should have been what the reaction was. Paul, I think you were asleep at the wheel in this episode.
Or they literally had no money for reshoots. I'm starting to think there was zero. This warehouse that has the jewels in it, you can see where the actual door is, and then you can see where they put in all that nice fake foam to make it look like it's an actual wall.
Yes, so KARR drives through the quote-unquote brick wall that sort of explodes into putty around us. And now comes the stupidest scene. Remember how we mentioned, gee, how are they getting away with KARR driving through all these banks and depositories? How are they getting all the money without having to get out of the car? And now we see KARR does have a way to trap the people. So guards are blam, 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 shooting their guns at the car. And Tony is literally laughing at them. They run out of bullets and they're like, what now? And KARR drives in front of 5 stacked boxes together and just starts to push them right into them. And instead of running to the right or the left to avoid it, they start to move backwards into a wall and get trapped behind these ridiculously empty boxes.
Yes, they're hiding behind this wood box and they have no other way out. Apparently, these boxes are so heavy they can't move them, right? No. After this happens, he gets out, starts taking out the diamonds. And I'm going, how the heck are you going to sell these? I mean, these are going to be known because they're famous diamonds. These aren't just any diamonds.
No.
Look, they're a tiara, they're necklaces.
So now the cops are all outside. We have a captain who's wearing like the most ridiculous captain suit. And now Kitt and KARR are ready to confront each other.
As they arrive, Michael's like, all right, we're here. So where is Tony and KARR? And they're like, they're still inside, Michael. Bonnie, you need to get out. Building up this wonderful tension between the two. And Bonnie's like, no, I still have to align the lasers so it can shoot correctly. I'm going, what? Didn't you align it when you actually installed it? She was kidnapped, so maybe she didn't get it finished.
That's what we'll assume. And I think they do have a throwaway line of she wasn't able to do it yet. The whole scene makes no sense because then they show her holding like this funnel or this canister where she's like twisting things. I'm like, is that how the laser works? So the pointy end is in the hood and the firing mechanism's in the passenger seat here? Is that how the whole laser is fitting into the car? So what was Michael supposed to do with this? One hand on the laser and one hand while he's driving the car towards KARR? How exactly was this going to work if Bonnie wasn't in the car?
No clue, because you know what? They mentioned earlier in a throwaway line that they only can shoot twice because it'll drain its batteries to the point that he's inoperable if he fires more than twice. So we know that there's going to be 2 shots.
So remember, 100 yards, 2 seconds of hitting it. But we don't have to worry about that because Bonnie's a terrible shot. She shoots the headlight, does no damage, and then she totally misses on the second shot. We're like, well, that was a waste of time. And now KARR's just going to try to get away, but then the cops move in and block his path. Oh, good, they got him, he's trapped. But then we remember, no, this is a supercar. Of course, he can get through that.
And they've already done it twice this episode of KARR jumping over things. Now, here's the thing. As they're about ready to escape, remember, KARR's special ability is me first, nobody else second. By the way, folks, this was just to make sure that Tony wasn't in the car for what's about to happen here at the end.
It makes no sense. Yes, I realize KARR is self-preservation, so anything he perceives to be in his best interest he'll do, but it's illogical for a computer to even think that a person who weighs 200 pounds, and that's being generous, would weigh a car that weighs 5,000 pounds. That wouldn't matter at all. So the whole thing's ridiculous. But what does he do?
Hey, what are you doing? I must eliminate excess weight.
And that's it. Tony's arrested instantly, and there ends that scene too.
Oh, and the best part about all this is the effect for this is not having him jump down off the box. He literally stumbles into it. Like, literally, they couldn't give him a milk crate, so he jumps down and falls.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, the budget on this was in 3 cents. So anyway, KARR turbo boosts over all the vehicles, drives off. And what do you think Kitt does? Does he eject Michael and Bonnie so he can do the same thing? No, with even less room, by the way, Kitt does the same exact thing and the same exact effect with no problem at all.
The best part about all this is they're in the middle middle of downtown LA. They're now in the hills in like 5 seconds. And Kitt notes that Michael is on course to hit K.A.R.R head on. And I'm going, what? This has been like 5 seconds. How did you calculate that? How did Michael calculate that? Because they're in the middle of nowhere. How's Michael knowing how to hit K.A.R.R head on unless he knows exactly where K.A.R.R is going?
So Michael says to them, we're going to stop him one way or the other. I don't care how. And Bonnie gives him a look of like, what are you, insane? And by the way, they're not wearing their seatbelts. You notice how they leaped in, they're ready for this, and they did not once wear their seatbelts. So we have a very important reminder to all you guys before you're about to go head to head in supercars.
The seatbelt connected to the frame zone. The lap strap goes across the hip bone. The shoulder strap angles or the chest bone.
So hear the words of the law.
Those belts, those bones, those seatbelts.
For safety's sake, wear seatbelts.
I'll properly wear seatbelts and heed the words of the law.
Sometimes kids have to remind grown-ups, yabba dabba buckle up.
And the best part is right before they are about to hit each other, Kitt and K.A.R.R are making warnings, get out of the way, no, you get out of the way. And then finally, it looks like this is going to happen. And Bonnie's like, Michael, I'm sorry that I told you that you're basically an idiot and won't listen to anyone. And then he's like, Bonnie, I'm sorry that I said that you're bossy and naggy. And then Kitt hits it best.
Michael, Bonnie.
Yes,
Yes, Kitt. Why are you lying to each other?
Yep, and that broke up the tension right there. So here we go. So now we're going to test Dino's paradox. What happens when irresistible force meets an immovable object? Here we go. And Kitt tries to save him. And this is good. I'm glad they threw this in because it shows Kitt's preservation of the human life. Switches to auto mode. He's like, no, Michael, I can't let you do this. And Michael then pushes the normal mode like a few times. No, I know what I'm doing. You have to trust me. We're going for it. We're stopping him right now. And then they're like, all right, so be it. And then what happens? So it's now a game of chicken. Whoever will flinch first. Michael's going dead on. K.A.R.R's going dead on. And at the last second, K.A.R.R swerves out of the way. Why? Because he is self-preservation. He did not want to be destroyed in that way. Which makes no sense because what happens next is the same exact thing that would have happened, but at least it would have taken out your enemies in the process.
Oh, by the way, folks, it's wonderful that he pulled hard to the right. As you can see, he had plenty of room to go to his left, so he pulled hard right and decided that he'd go flying off a cliff.
So instead of going left and going around, instead of trying to turbo boost, instead of anything else, his plan for quote-unquote self-preservation is to leap off a cliff where K.A.R.R would have very clearly known that there was a cliff there. He's a computer. He knows the road and everything. It makes no sense. Like, why would he choose that rather than crashing into Kitt or trying to jump over him or sort to the left? No, he decides to fling himself off of the cliffside. And what happens? Well, this is the 1980s, and you've seen enough of our A-Team reviews to know anything that hits any metal object in the 80s explodes instantly, and that's exactly what happens.
In the water!
And it's a huge explosion, and I mean a massive explosion, filling the screen. Parts are flying everywhere. That's it. K.A.R.R is totally destroyed. Just by crashing into the ocean, he explodes. And Bonnie and Michael are like, whoa, well, I'm glad that's over with.
Oh, and they lean, they look at each other, and it looks like they're going to kiss, and they just quickly look away because you gotta keep that sexual tension up, folks.
Now we need the happy climax. So we don't know if the Rev made it. They don't mention that. We know that Tony's been arrested, and we know that K.A.R.R has been destroyed, Vespor. K.A.R.R has been fully destroyed.
Are you certain that he was destroyed?
Vespor.
They're not going to bring it back?
No, Vespor. That'd be ridiculous. So that's it. He is done. He's destroyed.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't show up and that I'm completely wrong.
Oh, Vespor.
Why about
you
this?
always try to show me up here. Anyway, so now we're going to have the happy climax. K.A.R.R's gone. You'll never see him again. And now we're going to have a weird ending. Now, the ending was supposed to be a little different. We found that out in our research here. There was a little bit of a different ending, and it makes sense because the ending they went with sucks. I have to be honest.
It made no sense either.
Yes, this ending sucks. Yes,
so basically, the ending, as shown to us, not what it was supposed to be, is that they're back there celebrating. They're celebrating Kitt. They're celebrating each other. And Bonnie's like, how did you know that he returned? Well, obviously, it's because he's programmed for self-preservation instead of saving people. And the way that Kitt acted was how I knew that K.A.R.R would react the same way, where Kitt tried to take over and drive us to safety. I knew then that K.A.R.R had no choice but to swerve around and go around us. But I don't think that Michael thought he'd drive off a cliff.
No, I don't think that was part of his plan. So now they're talking about the friendship and wow, Kitt, you made me appreciate you so much more. Let's go party. I want to take you to the best car wash in town. We're going to have fun. It's like, if it was all the same to you, I'm kind of tired. I just want to recharge. Have a good night, everyone. They're like, all right, good night, Kitt, good night. And he's like, goodbye, everybody. And then Michael's like, you're great, you know that, Kitt? And he's like, yep, good night, good night. And Michael keeps asking, how do you feel about knowing you are the only one? You are unique now. how do I feel? Well, you know I have no feelings. Well, Kitt, but you can tell me in your words, how do you feel? And he says,
being one of a kind is a very familiar feeling.
and Michael's like, that's right. And he closes the door, and Kitt repeats that line to himself, one of a kind. Oh, it's very familiar. That's how the episode ends.
Because you can see how this would have been depressing as hell if they actually did it the way they wanted to, when they show some flashbacks and cut out footage of a previous conversation with KARR that wasn't there, implicating that
KARR and Kitt were kind of having like a lost brother type of situation. Even though one's evil, one's good, or that's all a matter of perspective, but they're very different. Now they were talking about how it's nice to be two of a kind, and even though we're different, we're the same. So they were kind of like long lost brothers being reunited, and it's too bad that they can't get along type of thing. And the episode would have ended with flashbacks of Kitt remembering that conversation with KARR, who's now destroyed and dead, saying that two of a kind is special also, but now that you're gone, I realize what I lost now. So it was kind of like a downer on the whole thing.
By the way, they never explain why they can't build another Kitt in the entirety of the series. Because they know how to build him.
But anyway, that's how the episode ends. It ends with him just saying familiar. It's a very weird ending. I get why they changed it again from the whole two of a kind is special. They got rid of all those references and lines to it. Like, what is a familiar feeling? It means he accepts who he is all that means. I feel like myself again, and I'm happy to be me.
That being said, that is the episode Trust Doesn't Rust. This is where we talk and complain or compliment aspects of the show, and since I'm the boss, I get to go first. And I'm going to say this: show it, don't tell it. I thought this episode had way too much exposition, but that being said, it was necessary because they tried to cram a 2-episode storyline into one, and because of it, they didn't get to show off all the action or anything. I mean, this one really was kind of a dud for action, and all we got to see about was the two guys, and then, oh god, where's KARR? Where's KARR? Where's KARR? And he only showed up when it was time for the plot to move on. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean I disliked it. I just got tired of exposition because I hate shows where it's talk about it, don't show it. That's why I love the A-Team so much. There's only just enough exposition because they have a quota of explosions and gunfights they have to keep to in every episode. But for this, it made it slow down, but the idea of Kitt and KARR together, there was so much promise for this. This is one of those episodes that could have completely changed how the entire series went, and this was such a fun idea. And there was moments of great writing, and then others going like, was your main editor high on something that day because of the cuts? Was David Hasselhoff feeling well? What's going on here? So in that way, it didn't seem like a very good episode. But I really did enjoy it, even though I complained about those things. And to prove how much I actually enjoyed it, I'm still going to give it 3.5 stars because it is quite memorable. The interactions between the two thugs was great. The interaction between KARR and the thugs. And simply, it's the idea of all the possibilities. This was a great idea, badly implemented. This could have led to so much more, and maybe even a spin-off series with KARR.
This is a very classic episode. You know, it really is. Like it or hate it, you have to appreciate what they were trying to do here. And this is why I think that the show had so much potential. You now have adversaries. You now have villains. You now have storylines twisting together. Because every time they do something like this, it's more lore. So we learned all about Wilton Knight built a prototype. This was 6 months ago. This was before you were even here. We learned history, more story building, more world building. I think that's great because we don't get enough of that in Knight Rider. You'll have some episodes that do that, but not enough episodes. And I think it's great that they did that. Does any of this make sense? No. I mean, why was a light switch all it took to turn KARR on? Why is KARR 6 months later able to even turn on from a light switch? Why was his batteries not drained? Why wasn't his tires removed? Why wasn't he deactivated with his chip out? Why weren't they working on reprogramming if they wanted to save him? Why? The whole thing makes no sense. The storyline here, except that it makes a cool situation. You have KARR versus Kitt. That's the whole cool part. And of course, we can't forget Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, did KARR before there was an Optimus Prime, but he sounded exactly like Optimus Prime. That's why it was very cool, because we met Peter Cullen a few times, and no, he does not sound like Optimus Prime when he talks. So he's putting on this voice because I think that's his impression of what a vehicle would sound like, and that's why he does that for Optimus Prime. That's why he did it for KARR. He's trying to do what would the voice of a car or a truck sound like if it could talk. That's why he's doing these voices that he does for it. Very well done. There was a lot of problems with the direction there. I think Paul Stanley, as the director of this episode, did a terrible job, and I think that ruins the episode a little bit because reactions of these characters makes no sense. Devin has a weird reaction to Michael. Michael has weird reactions all throughout the episode. Fast food guy who's having ridiculous reactions because someone's taking too long at a drive-thru. I don't know if that was Steven D'Souza's writing or if that was just the direction and Paul thought it'd be funny to do it like this. It makes no sense. There was a lot of really illogical reactions in this episode. It's gonna get a good rating. It's not gonna get a great rating because I don't know. The writing sucked and the direction sucked, but the idea is so good. I really wish they went back to the car so many times. This could have been such a great thing. You could have done a redeemable car. You could have had him come back. You could have had him learning a little bit more every time. You could have had him, let's keep reprogramming. This could have been like Star Trek The Next Generation where you have war and he learns a little, he's not learning a little. And even Bonnie gets some usage, and we always like when the side characters get usage. So Bonnie's like, I'm not leaving this car. I'm going to hold this ridiculous laser that can only fire 2 times. I got to calibrate it. I'll miss anyway. So what was the point of me? I don't know, but here I am. The whole storyline was ridiculous. And it was interesting that they had Tony getting more corrupt. It was, who was the monster here? Was it Tony or was it KARR? And that was the whole Frankenstein story. Because even David Hasselhoff said this is like a Frankenstein story. Who's really the evil one? Is it the one that created you or is it the beast itself? And that really played out with Tony and KARR's interaction. The problem with the first season is the characters are not fleshed out yet. Kitt's personality sucks in the first season. It really does. It sucks in the first season. And you can thank William Daniels for making the changes to the character. So I'm going to also give it 3.5. With that all said, and me and Vespor don't discuss our rankings together. I say this every single time. We always have our own in our mind. It just turns out we both really see it the same way. Even with all the problems, the direction sucked, the writing is ridiculous, acting needs a lot of work, the storyline needed a lot of work, the situation are ridiculous. It is still a lot of fun. If you were watching Knight Rider, this is one of those episodes you gotta see. An evil Kitt, I mean, come on, need I say more? It's such a cool idea. The reason it's not 4 or 5 is because of the reason we mentioned. Yes, we're still saying it's an enjoyable episode, but the direction sucked, the acting sucked, and the writing sucked. So there you go. All was there, you just had to work it differently and it would have been better. I still enjoy this episode a lot. It's one of those you gotta see it. 3.5 stars from both of us, and I think that's very well deserved. This is a must-see episode. Laugh at the stupidity, but enjoy what they were trying to do here, and then you'll really get why this episode is so beloved by so many.
That being said, we hope you enjoyed our review of Trust Doesn't Rust, Season 1, Episode number 8.
So, with that being said, you definitely want to
like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that bell because you do not want to miss this. Thank all of you for your support over the years. It has been so appreciated. We're really moving along now, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. We love retro. We know you guys love retro. We're going to keep giving you retro. 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. If it's retro you want, retro you get here on Vespor Retro Reviews. We're going to have a lot more like this. Hit that subscribe button. Comment. Bookmark us. Talk about us.
See you later, folks.